But of course, we also have those newspaper front pages for you. Let's cross to those, and starting with the business day this morning. So the business day, starting this morning, they're going with a lifeline for small private hospitals. Now, the government comes to the rescue with some competition exemptions. The Department of Trade, Industry and Competition has granted small private hospital groups an exemption from certain competition regulations for the next 5 years, as it seeks to level the playing field in an industry that's been dominated by three big hospital groups: Mediclinic, Netcare and Life Healthcare. And according to the Competition Commission, the Big Three group controls 83% of the national South African private healthcare facilities market in terms of the number of beds, and this percentage increases to 90% for the total number of admissions. Also, NUMSA starts Gautrain strike. Gautrain services will be hit by a strike starting on Monday, that's today, when disgruntled members of the National Union of Metal Workers of South Africa, NUMSA, abandon their posts and strike to push for wage hikes at more than twice the rate of inflation. And NUMSA is, of course, the country's largest union with more than 450,000 members, and it gave the management of Bombela Operating Company, which operates Gautrain, a 48-hour strike notice. But the Gautrain spokesperson has assured passengers that services will not be disrupted by the strike. A picture there of French President Emmanuel Macron casting his ballot, flanked by First Lady Brigitte, as they vote in the French parliamentary elections second round that took place yesterday. And Leanne will be in conversation with Sophie Mokoena about that at the top of the hour in our next news bulletin. And also, tough, uncertain times lie ahead, KPMG predicts, as South Africa emerges from its most significant general election since the end of apartheid. The country is confronted with economic and political uncertainties that mirror wider global trends. And according to KPMG International second quarter global economic outlook, the global economy is expected to slow down from 2.7% in 2023 to 2.5% in 2024, with a recovery anticipated in 2025. So those some of the top stories for the business day this morning.
All right, let's move on into the Star now. And the first photograph that jumps out, of course, is on the front page. And this is a photograph where they're talking to Makaza underwater yesterday. Level 4 warning issued for heavy rain and potential flooding in western parts of the Western Cape at the weekend. The first of several cold fronts made landfall. And this, of course, with several fronts expected to bring stormy conditions and cold to the country this week. So in Khayelitsha, an estimated 1,000 structures were destroyed by winds on Thursday, leaving up to 4,000 people without shelter. So it really is not a good scene at the moment, and it's just expected around the country to get worse. Then, of course, there's the focus on Hlophe's JSC seat gains support. Let's read a little bit into that one. Appointment sparks concern over Oppenheimer and Soros influence. In a contentious development, a coalition of civil society movements has raised objections regarding the appointment of Mkhonto we Sizwe Party caucus leader Dr. John Hlophe to the Judicial Service Commission. The issue has sparked a fierce debate over judicial independence, representation and the influence of external funding in South Africa's legal system. So the controversy stems from a letter addressed to Speaker Toko Didiza, signed by organizations claiming to represent the interests of marginalized communities. And they are alleging that Dr. Hlophe's appointment would undermine democratic principles and serve the agenda of what they term white monopoly capital. So, yeah, you can read much more on that particular story. Then also, Minister Ramaphosa's nuclear power plan hits a snag. Electricity and Energy Minister's nuclear plan, aiming to secure approval from the National Treasury by next month for 2,500 megawatt power plant, has hit an obstacle, with the DA saying the announcement is premature as a court matter has to be finalized first. And this is all according to a Sunday newspaper that a team is working on the deal to finalize the procurement structure of the nuclear build project, and work was at an advanced stage. So that's that story. And then finally, ex-Banyana star hijacked as Morocco residents plead for help over scourge. We're talking about residents in Morocco, Soweto, one of the country's leading car hijacking hotspots, have voiced their concern about the lack of attention the police and the city of Joburg are paying to carjackings that are taking place. This field has become an illegal dumping site, which is allegedly being used by car thieves and carjackers as preferred car stripping spots. So this is a very big one. They're saying they receive no fewer than 20 cars per week that have been hijacked. So this is a terrible, and this is just hours. All these pleas came just after former Banyana player Portia Modise was hijacked on Saturday by gun-wielding thugs who snatched her car outside her White City home in Soweto. So yeah, you can read all about that terrible story in the front page.
Right, moving to The Citizen now. Put the people first. Stagnant economic growth, high unemployment, poverty and the energy crisis, these are among the ills plaguing South Africa. So what will the Government of National Unity tackle at its first cabinet Lekgotla this week? Experts believe that service delivery will top the agenda. Beautiful picture there of a model wearing a creation by a local designer at the Hollywood Bets Durban July that took place on Saturday, and fashionistas embraced this year's theme that was, of course, Ride the Wave, and turned up in creative and innovative outfits on the big day. And then Deputy Minister wears two hats. That story on page 2. How the state spent 2 trillion rand in a year. And also this is a cute story. Cyclists fined for kiss. Now, the friends and family of Julian Bernard gathered on a hillside to greet him as the Tour de France passed by his home during Friday's stage in Burgundy, giving him a welcome that authorities found a little too warm. Now, celebrations went too far, for the race authorities were responsible for imposing general rules during races. And while these rules usually concern answering the call of nature in public or deviating dangerously from one's line, the offense this time was of a more festive nature. Now, he stopped to hug his wife, Margot, who was holding their child Charles, hug and kiss. And he said, "I'd been waiting for this moment since the route was announced last October, and this kind of moment comes once in a lifetime. Never mind that they find."
I love it. Okay.
Cute story.
All right, there you go. That's a new one. No kissing when you are riding. Sowetan, let's have a look at your front page this morning. And the question they're asking is, how has your workplace transformed? A Labour report shows shifts in middle management of SA firms, but white men still sit on top. And companies claim to have no barriers to transformation. So that's the big one that they're having a look at, is employment equity. And again, the focus on the celebs who ride the Durban July wave. Remember, that was the theme, all about waves, and riding the wave was the Durban July theme. And I think Orient, who ran it? I have to confess, I'm trying to remember. Oriental Charm, I think that's who won the Durban July. That was the big one, Oriental Charm. So well done to that winner of the 5 million rand jackpot there. Ramaphosa's plan to end hunger in Gauteng, and Rulani to decide his next move. And then finally, I think the really beautiful moment for South Africa was certainly that rendition of the national anthem that we saw being belted out by Loftus. I wish we had one of the video footages of it. We just didn't plan for it. I know there are lots doing the rounds, but it was absolutely beautiful to listen to that anthem. And according to KB, who was that beautiful voice behind it, but then she stopped singing and the whole of the Loftus Stadium finished that anthem for her. It was absolutely magnificent to listen to, but from her perspective, she says, it was the most magical experience. KB speaks on that anthem rendition. So beautiful, beautiful moment at Loftus.
It certainly was, and captured the imagination, no doubt. Really, really lovely moment.
Yeah.
And then, of course, www.sabcnews.com. That's our very own website here, carrying a lot of those stories that the newspapers are carrying, as well as some of the stories that we've covered exclusively. Our reporters, of course, all across the country, and you have various options in terms of the platforms and where this news comes from in terms of all our SABC coverage. So do feel free to go there and have a look.
Absolutely. And also remember our SABC Plus app. There's a new updated version of it. So get it downloaded onto your phone and you'll find a lot of new features and new looks on it. So it's really lovely. And we've been told to, I suppose, delete the old one and then reinstall it and then just log in again. And you'll find another world of possibilities awaiting you there on that SABC Plus app.